call this April 20th Brown County Commission meeting to order. We'll start off with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. Good morning. First item, approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second. Moved by Sutton, second by Pfeiffer to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, we have the Aberdeen Area Running Club event proposal. Is there anybody here to speak of that, or?
You're on negotiation.
Okay.
Yes, good morning. I'm on Zoom. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent.
And who do we have? Could you state your name, please?
Oh, my name is Pamela Monahan Giernard.
Okay.
I can spell it for you.
That's all right. No, I just like to know. First name basis always helps. Thank you, Pam.
All right. Pam I am, if that helps. I think, do you guys have a copy of the proposal in front of you?
Read it, yes.
Read it. Yeah, so basically the running club has been in existence for a number of years. I moved here about a year and a half ago, and they asked me to take over the club. As we tried to reinvigorate it, we decided we would start off with a sort of small, fun run called the Beer Mile. So we're looking at using a section of the fairgrounds. We basically need to create a quarter-mile track, a quarter-mile running surface. Can be anything. And the event is basically drink a beer, run a quarter mile, drink a beer, run a quarter mile. We'll have everyone registered for the event. We'll check IDs. They will have wrist bracelets on to show that they are of age. All the beer will be kept in the exchange area. And we will complete the running event. We're hoping to maybe get Dolce to come out with a taco cart for after the event, or we might do some catering from Kessler's or something like that. We will not be selling any alcohol at the event. Your entry fee includes your 4 beers that you must drink within I think it's 30 yards of the table. I'm not sure what else I need to tell you.
How many participants are you thinking you're going to have?
You know, I don't know, since it's brand new and since the club's been dormant for a couple of years. I would guess maybe 30, 50 at most. I think we're going to offer it as teams of 2 and teams of 4 as well, because that's a lot as an individual. But I still think we'll be under 50.
And the liability is not a concern. Brown County's held harmless. We're all good on that?
Yeah, we will get event liability for it. We're a 501c3 organization, but we don't have our own liability insurance right now, so we'll get a one-day event insurance policy.
So has there been conversation with the sheriff's office or any of the deputies or anything as far as this event?
No, we thought we would start with seeing if we have a venue.
Well, I think it's creative. I like the idea, and I think if Brown County's held harmless and folks want to do it, they're out checking IDs, life is good, I would make a motion we approve it with the contingency that the sheriff's office is fine with it.
For clarification, we would present a lease and a liquor license application to be approved before they would have their event, which would include their insurance, and they would have to list Brown County additionally insured and have the liquor liability on their insurance. Because although they're technically selling the beer because it's included in the price of the ticket, but they are eligible for a temporary special permit.
And the permit would be issued for a particular defined area
Yes, we would
at the
define a
fairgrounds.
legal description at the fairgrounds and map it out. We've done
Right.
that before for grassy areas, and that would be where they're restricted to.
Okay.
Pam, this is Commissioner Weiss. When I saw the request and read through it, I just wondered if you'd had a consideration or a thought, if you want to do it on the fairgrounds, about doing it within Centennial Village I believe it's big enough to be able to put that together, but still gives you a defined and confined space. Just a thought.
Yeah, can we get a quarter-mile loop around Centennial Village? I've only been in there once. I did the Humane Society run that was based out of there, but we didn't run in the village itself.
I would think that you could probably do that, wind in between the buildings and stuff, put out a route, or if you needed to go out and back in, but it would give you a defined space as well as facilities, park benches and structures and things like that to be able to host things. So just a thought.
Yeah, I'd like to check that out because it would be nice if there would be some, some tables. Like I said, if you do it as a relay and you're only doing one lap, then you have some place to stand or sit and wait for your teammates to go through as well.
Yep. So it'll provide you an opportunity for a venue for entertainment.
Defined space and making sure that alcohol is not consumed by others and under our control at all times.
Yep.
That's really important to me.
So just a thought.
Okay.
Your date is Thursday, May 27th?
Yeah.
I guess one of the things that you probably need to do is that wherever you have the event, whether it's fair or grounds or Centennial Village, you'll have to check with Kurt or Mark Salzer to make sure there's no other events on that day.
Okay, I did talk to Kurt earlier, and he was the one that put me through to you guys. So at that point in time, there was nothing else.
Okay.
The advantage of using Centennial Village, correct me if I'm wrong, is they already have a liquor license, and if the alcohol was consumed within the confines of Centennial Village, they wouldn't need to get
Correct, they
a
could
separate
just
one.
buy beers from Centennial Village.
Right,
Yep.
right. And even if they ran outside the perimeter of the fence and then stepped inside to consume and then continue the run. For the sake of discussion, I'll second Rachel's motion.
Okay. And I have a question, because we actually have, Odell's Brewery has agreed to donate all the beer via Slackers. So we actually have all the beer sort of paid for and available.
Okay.
Okay. We have a motion by Kipley, a second by Sutton to approve the Aberdeen Area Running Club event proposal,
Contingent on
contingent on
sheriff.
liability insurance. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to jump off.
Take care.
Next item, we have Patricia Kendall, Museum Director, Annual Report, and intern request. Morning, Patricia.
Hello, I haven't been here forever, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
I was expecting 5 minutes, you gave me 10. So try me. Okay, well, I won't go over too much in the annual report, you just take a look. Just suffice it to say that 2020 was an interesting year, a challenging year, but I do have to say, because of your support, the commission, the county, the goodwill of our patrons, we actually had a pretty good year. We won 2 awards last year from Association of South Dakota Museums for our summer community event that we had for museum families, and then we also had a South Dakota Tourism Award for hospitality for one of our staff members, Laura Shoneman, and she actually went here to accept that in January. She was a wonderful advocate for museums in South Dakota. We made everything work, and right now we are positioned for 2021 to just take off. And, your lady who was speaking about the beer run, she's going to have more than 50 people. People are so wanting to do things. We can tell it right now. With our attendance is increasing, our summer camps right now are at 83% full. They've only been open for 3 weeks. So we're just expecting a lot to happen this year. And so I just want to tell you a little bit while you're looking through that recent activity. We had Day of Champions from United Way and Northern student athletes on Saturday. They moved 80 years worth of newspapers to our storage unit. And they built shelving units. It was the football team, I think the offensive line, and the wrestling team. And then we had them move, it was like 12 to 15 large artifacts off our 3rd floor into our storage unit. We actually have room to breathe, to move around, to reorganize. It's been really good.
80 years worth of newspapers.
Found newspapers. So from the 20s to 1999. After that, everything else is digital.
American news or what paper?
Yes, and all of we have other newspapers there too. We kept all the older, more fragile ones in our archive. Yeah, that's just the Aberdeen American News.
Every issue?
Not
or just
quite.
the important ones? Like
No, we're missing a year here and there, or a month here and there, but we pretty much have everything. I would say we're about 90% from when, 1880 on up.
How much room does that take?
Oh my gosh.
Like this room, like half of this room?
This room, plus a little.
All newspaper.
Newspapers. And right now we have a 10 by 15 storage unit with 9 racks full of those 80 years. But some of those are not digitalized. 1935 through 1950 is not digitalized. That's the only way you can do any research for those. We bring them out to people, they put on the gloves, they go through. You can't search for a keyword.
Right.
You gotta look. Okay, so right now we have our high school art show workshops. We have our annual high school art show, which is usually at the Arc. Last year it was virtual. This year we have 12 schools who sent artwork, 7 schools who can attend the workshops. Not all the schools are sending their kids everywhere. That starts today, so we have 2 schools coming today. I believe it's Ipswich and Groton. We'll have Sisseton, Mount Vernon, Aberdeen Christian, Aberdeen Rock Holly. I think there's another one too this week. So we'll have about 56 high school students come through our museum this week. So upcoming events, we have History Alive at Centennial Village. I believe there's a quarter-mile run within Centennial Village. If you go along the boardwalk and go along in the back part and come around.
I've run the barrel train out there many times.
Yes.
So yeah, you can get a quarter mile out of
Yes.
there.
We're going to have History Alive at Centennial Village on June 12th. We have 12 to 15 reenactors, so people in character along the boardwalk, which you can stop and talk to, the banker, the milliner, the sheriff. Some of them will be real people from Brown County history that we can research, or otherwise they'll just be representing the postmaster. But we're going to have Courtney Rod as President Taft. And President Taft visited Aberdeen in 1911. So we have actual pieces of his speech when he was here. Courtney, we think he can carry it off. So he'll come and he'll give his speech, and then we're going to have suffragists protesting him for votes for women. So we're really excited about that. So that's going to be our history event. Then we're going to have a fall event right here at our building, Harvest Stroll. That'll be September 25th. And we're going to have some live music, some hot cider, cookies, decorated pumpkin, all that fun fall stuff. And we'll take Laston City for First Avenue right there, put the stage and have something. We had a harvest stroll last October, and it was outside, and people just came out of the woodwork. They just stopped by. They were just so excited to do something. So we're excited about this, and we're a little nervous too. We might be swamped. And like I said, we have our art and our history camp. So we're going to have them at Centennial Village. We're going to be spending a lot of time out there this summer. Okay. Summer marketing intern. Because of all the things that we have going on, and because your information is out there online, and sometimes we don't know every place where our information is. Sometimes people come and say, oh, we saw it on this website. Yeah, what website? Well, we never put it there, but somebody else did. Yeah, you probably run into it for other things too. Well, here's the thing. I do all the marketing. That's one of those things that I took from my old job because that position is only a part-time now. So I did take duties from my last job to add on to this job, and that was one of them. We have so much going on. I need somebody, and somebody who's very adept at social media, to sit down, find all the places where all our information is, give us a template, kind of a shell, to go say, okay, here's where you are at, here are all the online calendars, and then everything that we need to market, okay, so maybe you get all your information from Facebook, but you get all yours from group texts from your family and friends, but you only listen to the radio, maybe you only read the newspaper. So we have to combine all of that. So a marketing intern can do all the legwork, all of that. Here's the great thing. An intern shift 150 to 180 hours, depending on which program people need credit hours for. 9 weeks at 15 to 20 hours a week at $12 an hour would only be about $1,800 to $2,100. $2,160. We maxed it out. Well, guess what? I have travel money I'm not using this year. Don't think I don't know my budget. I know my budget. I know what I'm going to spend too. So I have in my travel budget $2,250 that I'm not going to use. So this would be zero expense for you. I think the term is I'm not adding to government at all for this. I would get more value out of a marketing intern to promote our events and our exhibits than I would using any of that money for any of those conferences that might be available this year. So that's what I would like. And it would be at no cost to you, but a great help to me.
Erica, is $12 an hour the going rate for interns? Is there any other departments? Just want to make sure we're kind of other places that have...
Yep, we have the 4-H intern and also the fair intern, excuse me, at around $12.48, $12.84.
Here's the fair intern, one if you wanted to look at it. There's a lot of heavy lifting for the fair intern.
Sure.
We wouldn't have them doing that. But they're at $12.48, so I thought 12 would be good.
And what were you thinking for hours? How many hours?
Well, 15 to 20, and depending on, what they want to work, because generally it's a 9-week internship for either Northern or PC, and they both have business programs, and so I'd like a business major. Somebody who's pretty analytical and pretty savvy with, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and I need them to get onto Yelp and TripAdvisor and Clio, and I could name several more.
The availability of an intern is pretty...
I spoke to, one of my board members, Jason Pettigrew. I mentioned it to him last night, and he said, oh, make sure you send that to me. He's the HR director at PC. He said, I know we have students who need to accomplish that for their degree programs. And I've already spoke to Hannah Walters via email too, and she said, yeah, as soon as you get it ready, just send it to us. Just so you know, you go work at Target for $15 an hour. So we have to be more interesting and more fun and more accommodating than retail.
It's more about the experience, but there's extra benefits, get credit plus a little bit of cash. So since it's a position, even though it's temporary, we need a motion to approve it.
I can put it in the HR report, or I can just add it to this week's HR report, just to approve the intern.
She's on the agenda for that stuff. I'll move it.
Second.
Moved by Weiss, second by Sutton, to approve the intern for the museum. About, what, 100 hours?
150 to 180.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tricia.
Thank you for being mindful. The budget.
Well, and just a heads up for 2022 budget request, I am going to put in for a part-time curatorial assistant for our collections department, which we've been wanting for quite a while. We're anticipating just how busy we're going to be the next year or two. I will put it out there that I will not increase my budget for 2022. If I can have another part-time person, I will make it work. So.
Well, we appreciate how resourceful you and your staff have been and continue to be. And I did review the report last night.
Did you?
The online version and stuff. So.
Well, and also we have the ability to fundraise and do things like that too. So you'll be seeing me again before too long. But thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, we have Eric Coughlin, HR Director, regarding the 2022 benefits.
Good morning.
Good morning, Erica.
Yes, I have my big folder with me today. Okay, I'll pass you guys out some paperwork. So it's that time of year to do annual enrollment. So, two that way and two that way. Each of them has a paper clip.
Okay, so on the first one you have there is the health plan. The health plan, the premiums this year went down again. This year it was a little more than 4.5%. It was 4.52% that the health premiums dropped. And speaking with my Wellmark rep, she said that mainly everybody is going up. So she was surprised to see a decrease and then this large of a decrease. So our employees are doing a great job of managing their benefits, going to the doctor when they should going to the doctor, or waiting to go to the doctor till like a Monday morning versus going to the emergency room on a weekend. So that was good to see. So the premiums for the high deductible health plan will go down roughly $23 for the employee, which the employee does not pay because the county pays that portion. For the $3,000 deductible plan, it'll go down roughly $33.92. The $2,000 went down roughly $33.92, and about the same for the $1,500 deductible. Since the county just contributes a specific dollar amount, which would be that $3,000 deductible plan, that $686.44 is what is contributed towards the $2,000 and the $1,500 deductible. So the rate that the employee pays will go up a little bit there. It looks like $1.56 for the $2,000 and $1.47 for the $1,500. Currently, we have 126 employees on the $3,000 deductible. We have 15 employees on the $2,000 deductible and 10 employees on the $1,500 deductible, 13 employees on the 3,500 high deductible health plan, which is HSA or health savings account compatible.
How many on the 3,000?
3,000 is 126. The recommendation that I am going to request for this year, just so that we stay compliant with some of the federal laws, is increasing the contribution to the health savings account. We do get a tax benefit for putting money, the county gets a tax benefit for contributing money into that HSA account for the employees. So since the 3,500 high deductible health plan only costs the county $584.68 a month, but the 3,000 costs the county $686.44 a month, I'm recommending that the difference between those two each month go into that health savings account for those employees that choose the 3,500 high deductible health plan.
To be $100 per month, $1,200 for the year?
Correct, yes. Yep, I calculated it out to be, for a full year, it would be $1,221.12. And I can send this information to you guys also. So roughly $50.88 a paycheck. Currently, what is being contributed is $600 a year. Sure. Any questions on the health plan?
That's good.
Thoughts or comments on the increase of the health savings account?
I think that's a good idea.
I do too.
Benefit to the county to do it.
And my other thought to that is these employees on the 3,500 high deductible health plan are taking that full cost on to them right away. So everything, if they go in for a doctor's visit and that doctor's visit's $100, that $100 goes towards that deductible, and the employee pays that out of pocket right away. We're with like the 3,000, 2,000, and 1,500, it's a copay plan. So if it's a $100 office visit, they're only paying $30 or $25 for that office visit. And that's where we sometimes could see the increase in premiums, depending on how often that doctor's visit or emergency room visit or hospital visit is used.
And if you're a $3,000 deductible, there's a difference with the copay, but to go to the 35 and then, be able to have the flexibility and the discipline to participate in the HSA is a really good long-term strategy, especially with that extra contribution.
Correct, yes. Yes, because with the HSA, the money rolls over from year to year,
And once you hit age 65 and you have to start buying those supplements to Medicare, you can use...
Don't have to.
Okay, you don't have to, but you can use that money to
It's
pay
tricky.
for those supplements.
It's
Yeah,
tricky.
it can be tricky. Yes, it can.
Ask me how I know.
So if you guys would like any more in-depth information on the health plan, please let me know and I can pass that along. I do quarterly meetings with our Wellmark reps, just so I know kind of where our high claims are going, and then if there's any health programs we could get our employees involved in. So down the road, that may be a push and telling employees, hey, you know this benefit is out there. It may help you to decrease the cost to you and also help the county with the cost of premiums. But with the way our premiums keep going down over the last couple of years, I'm not going to push that stuff. When I know that the premiums start increasing, that's when I'll step in and say, hey, let's start encouraging these programs and getting more involved in the health.
Well, it's been a good partnership because they track things and they share things, and the open communications is really good about being able to see what's impacting what. And frankly, the health insurance, I tell people it's basically a delayed self-insurance. You're going to pay for whatever your experience is. It's just going to be delayed a year, 2, 3 years, as opposed to being a self-insured situation. But to see those premiums go down is a reflection of how healthy, and typically counties are, usually a little bit overpopulation when it comes to the employees. So, usually we're on the other end of the spectrum where you have, high increases because of your experience. So, frankly, this is very good news, and hopefully it's a trend that we can continue.
Yeah, I would like to see it continue.
It's a big plus for our employees because they're all very satisfied with the plan we carry.
And that's the way it sounds.
company-wise.
Yep, I've heard do not change from what we
And I
currently
think it's a
have.
big plus for the employees that we've got a health insurance that they're all appreciative of, and very few problems with it. I think a few years back we had made a change, and there was a little bit of dissatisfaction. So I think this is a big part of, and to have a good plan and then have it go down in premium is usually unheard of. So we'll be tickled that we.
Yep.
Yeah.
And as we all know, it's difficult for us sometimes to provide raises, especially if, what raises we can provide, if it's eaten up and then some by increases in insurance costs and so forth. This has a immediate net benefit for our employees, and it's a good thing.
Yeah. Okay. So moving forward, the next one should be dental. Our dental rates did go up this year. They went up by 5%. Now, my thought on that is that's not bad because last year we did not have an increase at all to our dental benefits, or dental rates, I should say. So the single plan roughly increased by $2.20. The two-party roughly increased by $4.16, and the family increased by $6.58. And really with the dental, there was no change on that one. Everything pretty much stayed the same. Percentage of benefits stayed the same, deductibles stayed the same.
And remind me, we're on a calendar year again?
We're on a fiscal year.
It is fiscal.
Yes, correct. July.
So when
to
will
June.
the open enrollment period be?
Open enrollment will be in May here. I was hoping to have it on the 3rd, so I'm going back to my office after this. I'm going to start working on the packet. Hopefully we'll do the 3rd through the, I would say the 17th. So that gives the employees 2 weekends to go in and make changes or elect benefits or review benefits, whatever it may be.
And it'll be online like last year?
Correct. Yep, I'll send out that email blast again, like I have in the past. Next one is the vision. And all I gave there was just a little spreadsheet of the, I'll just say I gave you guys more information than that. I gave you the whole thing. My little packet here doesn't have that in there. With the vision plan, so this year we are going to, oh, you can keep it.
That's right.
I'm good.
For reference, okay.
Thank you. So with the vision plan, we are changing from BSP this year over to a different company. We'll no longer be having DSP because they no longer are an in-network provider with Barnett, I believe it is. So we have one provider in town
for VSP. So I heard from quite a few employees on that they wanted to change. So I went out and I got 3 quotes from all different companies and providers or insurance carriers, and they said, here's what we have. There was MetLife, there was like a Vision, there were all different ones that they came up with. Optalegro was the best. They offered the best rates, and 3 of the insurance companies that came back with quotes, all 3 of them came back with quotes from Optalegro. 2 of them were the same. This is the one that was 20 cents less than all the rest of them for the single coverage. And this is through Risky Benefits out of Sioux Falls. And attached to that also is a list of, and I just copied off the list of Aberdeen providers, but there's 2 more pages to this, so there's more Millbank, there's Watertown, Redfield. There's another 2 sheets to go on to that list of providers in the northeastern part of South Dakota.
Do the employees have their option of the silver, gold, or platinum, or do we pick a program?
Well, they have the option. So that's what my next question was going to be to you guys. Do you want them to have one, or do you want them to be able to have the multiple options? The employee pays everything here. The county does not pay anything.
And it's totally optional for this.
Correct. It is totally optional.
I think you give them the options.
The silver plan is very comparable to what we had with VSP. VSP was just 1, and the silver plan is comparable to what VSP was. So the gold and the platinum would be an increase in benefit.
It doesn't impact the county budget. I think you give them access and give them the options.
The 3 options.
Let them choose, yeah.
That would be my thought. The county isn't putting anything into it, and the employee should have their choice.
Yep. So the difference in premiums there, did I attach that to your guys'? I just didn't know if I gave you a copy of that also. The difference. Okay.
Right here.
From previous.
There we
Is that it?
Nope, that's the dental one.
Okay.
Yeah, you gave us the rates for the,
Okay.
the new plan.
Yeah, that was the bottom of the front sheet.
Just not compared to the last previous.
There we go. So yeah, it would be roughly, okay, $1 difference for the employee from what the premiums were for last year. For DSP, it was $9.78, and then looking at the silver plan, it would be $8.67. So roughly $1 decrease there, $1.77 for the employee plus 1, $1.79 for the employee plus children, and $2.90 decrease for the family. And that's just comparing VSP and what the silver plan was. I didn't compare the gold or the platinum because it wasn't apples to apples.
Okay.
So those are my recommendations this year. There's no change to the flexible spending account, HSA provider discovery benefits. They did get bought out by WEX, W-E-X. So if you see that name come across, you'll know why. Life insurance stayed the same. So nothing else to report.
And the employee isn't going to have a problem going from one plan to a new plan if they have pre-existing conditions or anything?
That was void many years ago with the ACA or the Affordable Care Act.
Okay.
Yep. When, or some people call Obamacare, when that went into place, the pre-existing conditions went away. The maximum health benefit went away, so those don't even apply anymore. Yep, and that was something Trump kept in place also.
Do we need a motion to accept the benefits package for the employees?
Yes,
move
if
it.
you would please.
Second. Moved by Piker, second by Sutton, to approve the benefits package for the employees. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, just to
Thank you.
confirm, that includes the HSA increase.
Right.
And then I will get you the Walmart form to sign for the chair. There's just pennies difference there. I need to go from odd numbers to even numbers to make it come out correctly
Okay.
when we do deductions for the employees. So I'll get you an updated sheet, get that over to be signed.
Okay.
Okay?
Good work.
Thank you. Yes, let me know if you guys have any questions after reviewing that, or if you want more information on something.
The fair position, when does that close?
That closes on Friday.
This Friday?
23rd, yes.
We all thought it was the 16th.
It was the 16th, but since you requested it to be in the paper, I rolled it for another week.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're, are you be going into exec at the end?
Yes.
We'll be back?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Erica.
You're welcome.
Next on the agenda, we have Dirk Rogers, Highway Supervisor, right-of-ways and department update.
You're late. I'm late. See?
Morning, Dirk.
How are you guys?
Good.
Morning.
Bill.
Not too bad. Not too bad. So, I just got, like 8 right-of-ways. I tried something different this time. Instead of me standing over there and flipping papers and pointing, I made a handy-dandy visual aid. So, the first one is, this one's actually for CenturyLink. And, go to the map here. It's out there on 12W, you know, there's a cell tower right out there. So they're gonna start over at the intersection and they're just going over half a mile to go up, hook something up to that cell tower. Everything is, bored when they go under the roads and plowing the ditch, so I don't have a problem with that one.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Weiss to approve the right-of-way for CenturyLink. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, these next 7 are just a continuation of the Northern Valley stuff that they've been doing. So unless you guys have a problem, rather than going through each of them individually, I'd like to just show you on the map where the 7 locations are. They're all, I mean, I'm okay with all of them, and they're all the same thing with the plowing and the boring, so that's the magenta. And then, you know, so basically it's like I said, it's a continuation, and I've noticed that they have these on different projects, so this gets fed off of US 12, you know, and then the other one comes down from the north. So it's one of those things where, obviously, just like when Web Water puts in something that it doesn't have a complete loop and you got some ends, they're just rebuilding it where they need to rebuild it, you know. Obviously, they didn't connect those 2 up for a reason or a cost or whatever. So, but anyway, you can see primarily, you know, some of the bigger ones they're doing is across 14E and 14W on the south side of town. A lot of stuff on 14 on the east side of Prairie Wood and stuff like that. So it's all just updating their existing system so it can have more capacity and you know, technology updates and stuff like that. So
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Kipley, second by Pfeiffer to approve the right-of-ways for Northern Valley. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And the right-of-way occupancy fee is unchanged? Yeah, it's still nothing. You know, I don't know how much energy that would take, or I just, no, I know you are, but, and you've heard me say this before, but you know, the utilities have, you know, they're not quite as much control or right to the right-of-way per se. That's probably not the correct way to say that, but as the roads do, but utilities are more so than, you know, drain tile or some of the other stuff you want to put in there. So if we do fees, then my cable and my internet's just going to go up $15 anyway. Yeah, it's a whole different deal, but I just, you know.
No, I know, and it's interesting because, and
there are places in the country where that is part of the structure, though. Yeah.
And I did sit in the legislature. It's been 12 years ago, probably 15 years ago.
And I like our utilities, so not...
No, not at all, but one call was they were trying to change some of those, when it triggers having to call it, and
Right.
they were trying to move more and more of the liability away from the utilities and put more into, I mean, basically the way the law was written, if we were going to go out and pick up garbage, you had to call and get it located. And, you know, so you got to draw the line there somewhere, but...
Well, there's a lot more stuff in the right-of-way than there was when I was plowing cable 35 years ago.
Definitely.
A lot more.
And like you say, we don't have a huge problem being fairly rural, anyway, that's the right-of-way stuff. It's a quick little update. We don't have, we're still waiting, load limits, we're gonna come off April 30th unless you guys are gonna beat me up over that. That's my plan anyway.
Dust control last week was kind of nice with 1 inch and whatever we got.
Yes, very timely. Now we need some warmth. I think I didn't miss summer, right? Them 2 days we had a couple weeks ago.
That was spring. That was spring.
Okay.
Just go 300 miles west, you'll find out it's winter is.
Yeah. If any of you came in on Prairie today, we got that kind of.
I seen a semi turn and just got up to the, gonna
Yeah.
get back out and go on south.
Yeah, so we let the bean plant know, and we should be a message board out on 281 and had it on the radio, so, but Prairie Wood's gonna be closed during the day today and tomorrow. They'll be open overnight, and that's getting pipe in. I wish we'd have, we've only been waiting for the state to come pave that for a year and a half. We could've got the pipe in sooner, but at least we got them in before we're cutting the new asphalt back open, looking like a bunch of dumbasses, because that usually happens about every third year. But, so they're working on that today. Road 11 and Road 23, where we have gravel patching, are gonna get milled up. So I don't know if anybody's saying much about that. I know I'm getting a few comments on 23 down there. If we're patching with gravel, that means it's gonna get milled up. We don't, rarely, you might have a random one hole out in the middle of nowhere that's too big to throw cold mix in, and we might throw some gravel in and then go back to it. But if you come to a stretch that's got a bunch of gravel in the potholes, it means that we're gonna mill it up and start over. And,
So
I'm
it's
glad
not
you-
gonna be,
start over.
I'm glad you put that start over on there.
Okay, so since you caught me, Doug, Road 11 and Road 23 will both be repaved. I mean, that's all been part of the plan here. Road 14 from the Sable Church north will stay gravel. I've been trying to squeeze the last few years out of that, and I know your friends in North Dakota will be happy, but that last 3 miles north, or 4 miles north of the church is
so it'll
just,
be ground.
it'll be ground. And actually, I got a couple calls that said to do that. I think people understand that making a $700,000 investment up there probably isn't realistic.
I didn't use it, but I'm one that called, just left my name, so I didn't need a name for you.
Good, good. We've really
I'm trying to
been-
make it more fair in the county so everybody gets a gravel road.
Yeah, I know.
So what's the estimated total miles that'll be ground on 23, because you're not grinding it continuous?
No. Matter of fact, even what we're paving, what I have on the map there, isn't even close, because we ended up getting, with our flood repair last year, and you had to ask me this, didn't you? It's like 3.2 miles, I think.
That you'll actually be ground.
That'll actually be ground. So if you start at the Stratford corner, where you actually go into Stratford, not 16 and 23, but the Stratford corner.
The second mile.
Yeah,
is
so the
disaster.
second mile, third mile, I don't know, it's like a mile and a half there gets milled, and then you go over a couple miles, and there's another piece in there where we ran out of money. That's actually, we should have the legislators go drive that, because they can see what happens when you don't have enough money. You
See how much Senate Bill,
you get pieces and
see how much
pieces.
Senate Bill 1 really
And,
helped.
and then you can, and then you hope for a flood, so you can get a nice grade raise in there too,
They're working on it.
We brought Al along just in case there was criticism.
I figured we had special guests, so.
He's been in there the longest, so if you don't mind something,
It's his fault, yeah.
So Dirk, is there any plan at all for, what is it, like 2 or 3 miles on 21 to the Day County line?
Yeah.
What?
That'll get, it's, the last 2 miles will finish getting milled up.
And then re-gravelled, or?
It'll get gravelled again, but it won't get paved.
Yeah.
There's 4 miles, if you start on 37, you got 4 miles each direction that's paved, and incidentally, the last 2 miles on each of them are gravel. But as you've heard me say before, if you can't drive off the end of the road without driving on a gravel road, what are we spending that much money on it for?
I was on it last week, and boy, that last 2 miles.
You just drive around on all the crappy roads, or what?
You'll never know. You'll never know.
You do it on purpose, or
Yeah.
But no, there's those last 2 miles, and then on the other end of it, 8 and 18 and 8 and 18 are both gravel and always have been. So
Yeah.
when this went to hell, we just turned that into gravel too. So you have kind of a,
Well,
there.
the last 2 miles before you hit Day County over there on 21,
Yep.
that's really low too. I mean,
Yeah.
and not very wide.
No.
It's been a long time since I was over on there.
Well,
Probably
now
should've
next
stayed
week,
off.
you can wait. You can wait a while before you go back again.
Between now and next week, so.
I'll see the improvements when I go back.
It'll be obvious, I'm sure. Okay, load limits, putting in those culverts, just so you know about that. But other, everything else is, I guess we're just kind of waiting for load limits to come off. The state's supposed to start paving on May 1st, they said. That's a Saturday. I don't know. Maybe it'll be Monday. But on that, up here on the north side of town, and
Get the plants open
Any
up and get
update
people
on,
moving.
any update on the Elm Dam?
you know, I haven't heard anything, which is, I guess it's sort of good, because the questions they were asking me before were sort of to get stuff going.
I'm sure it'll start again now pretty quick.
The last I knew, they were getting the rest of the archaeological clearance kind of hammered out. I never did hear back. They'll let us just haul the bridge over there. I keep saying us, but I mean, there's such a substantial savings there. That kind of stuff drives me nuts. To just be able to dispose of it on site instead of trucking it to Lord knows where.
But, and do all the historical background on it.
Yep.
All the rest of that stuff.
Yeah, and they had
There isn't room for it up here in the museum, I don't think.
I don't know, I didn't listen to Patty's report. Is there might be.
We had the safe conversation with
Right
the old
next to all
12
the
bridge.
newspapers.
Yeah, room on the 3rd floor now.
So the engineers, have they actually come up with the plan now? Is there going to be a crossing to the other side when that bridge is removed, or is that kind of been, I don't know if there's ever been, I guess I don't know that I've ever heard that what the finished product is how the design is going to be.
I don't think they're settled yet.
Yeah, I don't think they've got it that far. To me, that question about getting across there, which first off, I think you should, I hope they're eliminating truck traffic. The basic thing vehicle traffic, the main, the realistic, other than people's hearts and they want to go fish over there and all that kind of stuff, the main thing is the city having access to their valves over there. So if we can come up with a footbridge or, I hope they got the valves open before the water's raging over the spillway,
One thought that goes through my mind is coming in.
But I haven't heard it.
Coming in from the west, if work or whatever needs to be done on that emergency spillway, probably should, if there isn't an easement to come across that property from McPherson County, basically, and to come in there, probably should keep that in mind too, so that, that if trucks or whatever can't get across the dam and would have to get in there, that there should be an easement or something coming off of that west side. Kind of keep that in the back of your mind in these conversations.
And I don't know where they're at with it, but I know there was some conversation about the possibility, since they're kind of going to a fresh sheet of paper look, that the alignment for the emergency spillway may be the main spillway in the future, which would negate some of those issues if the emergency spillway is something that you could actually traverse unless it's being used, which is a rare occasion. So I don't know where they're at, but
you see where I'm coming from.
I do, and I was just thinking, let's see, road 2 is on a section line, right?
I think so.
So unless that's been vacated somehow, as far as your easement, now whether or not there's a physical
that's
a road bed or a trail to get there,
that's what needs to be checked
off
out.
the top of my head though, as far as legal access goes, unless somebody went through the effort of vacating the section line, I would imagine that the section line's open for legal access. Now your physical access would be
But it needs some work or improvement.
Yeah.
Could be a part of the cost there too.
Sure.
Yeah. Can you practically get there? No. I can see it, but I can't get there.
Right. But anyway, Doug, no, I gave you a big freaking walk in a circle, not answer the question. No, there, as far as I know, I haven't heard anything, but that was the one thing that, I've at least tried to present to them is, hey, make sure you're not trying to overkill it here. There's a reason we wanted to not replace the bridge in there, and I don't know.
Knowing what we know now, pretend there's nothing there, what would you do if you were going to build a new structure?
Yeah.
To do what we've been doing?
Yeah, like and I don't know if it's suitable. You guys just have a handrail down there, and that meets your requirements to go across there, and I
Well,
don't
maybe
know.
with all the money that's been thrown at it, maybe you could put a bridge in there.
I don't want to do the maintenance. Of course, it'll be shot after I'm gone, so.
We will see.
But
Is that us or city doing, patching those potholes, North Dakota?
we did
Oh, that's us?
3 or 4 with cold mix yesterday, and I know that's not one of your favorite things, but I can't just leave the frickin' holes out there. That's the problem.
We get gravel on ours.
Oh, yeah, we can do that. I don't have any problem, it's just that, as I kind of...
I think he just said thank you.
Yeah. I won't formula that up, by the way.
I just want people to realize that if they're getting cold mix, it's probably better than what we're getting.
Well, I understand the downfall of eventually when the city takes it, we'll probably lose our speed limit.
You're talking about 19?
I'm talking about North Dakota Street,
North Dakota.
where the developments
North
have went in and
24.
ruined that road that we're still maintaining.
Yeah, that'd
And I
be-
think
isn't
it's
that
at
19?
50% or 60% of the road the city has to own
From
for the
Hogan
takeover
Junior High
maintenance.
north.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you know, it's been annexed, again, I think it's been annexed on both sides, and then the Happy development on the north side of the berm on the east side, I think has been annexed as well. So that puts it over the halfway point. I don't know if we just need to make an effort to say, hey, we gotta do something with this,
I think the
because
lack of effort. When we don't fill the potholes, then they notice.
the only problem with that, Rachel, is we're legally responsible.
I know that.
And I
But
do
we-
have signs on either end, and I'm sure Ross would be happy to come save me again, but...
Rachel, I make a motion, we grind the first half mile.
Well, I would...
Well, the question I had is maybe we're taking care of that for them. Is there some other area, like a mutual aid, where they're helping us out in the south side on Melgard or something that we're responsible for? But probably time to have a meeting and discuss who's doing what.
Second my motion.
I totally agree with you. What, just a little history if you guys want it, or do you want to rush off the equalization? I mean, it's...
We got that.
We got that.
Little history.
So,
These gentlemen are here.
so down at the intersection in front of the school, Melgard
Roosevelt,
and Roosevelt. That mile going east over to the curve was the county's. Okay, and then somewhere in the curve, I can't remember exactly where, but somewhere in the curve, beginning or the end of the curve, was the city's. Okay, and that's how it was when I came here in 2000. And about 2001 or 2002, somewhere in there, they did a project on 6th Avenue, which is kind of crazy. 20 years later, we're doing another project on 6th Avenue, but it required that they had the truck traffic was down on the south side of town. And so when they started out, that was going to be their detour for the project. And we had just paved it. I mean, it was like the first thing we ever paved after.
I remember that.
And I'm like, I'm not real excited about having all this truck traffic on there. So I came into the commission and they posted it. Not spring load limits, we posted it to 6 ton. Well, now the trucks couldn't go on that. And they turned them and sent them up Roosevelt. Okay? Which was all fine and dandy except the corner at RG's, which, what is that now, an auto parts store? Yep. That corner did not meet the state's own requirement for a turning radius for a truck detour. But they were getting mad because we were blackmailing them down there. And so I won't go into the details because there's some things that happened that I don't want to say in public. But we ended up with an agreement that the city is going to take over that mile. The county provided the labor to pave from US 12 at Walmart down through the curve. So we did all the paving. The state bought the mix. We did the paving, and the city took that mile, the Keigan mile we called it, took that over, and that's what the agreement ended up being. Well, the city didn't have 60% of the land annexed down there. We just sort of flexed a little bit at the time. And ever since then, it's been a struggle to get them to take over the other stuff. And I think that's
Well, I had previously
the punishment.
I had previously pressed that regardless of how much, that if they annex up to a road, they take the road with it, whatever section it happens to be. And some of that came about when North Roosevelt, north of 8th, that improvement happened back then. And the city had annexed, and there was some improvements going on, housing development, and that road was getting done. And a couple people had asked and gotten permission from the city to put access to those garages, which did not meet our separation requirements. And so the conversation was, if you're going to give them permission, then it's your piece of road.
Correct.
So does anybody know on Dakota Street North, on that half mile we're talking about, Happy Homes has got a tip there, Does anybody know what that dollar amount is?
No, I'm
Gene
not the
will know.
tax guy.
Pardon me?
Talk to Gene.
So anyway, I'll give you 3 quick examples because this has already not been quick. But you know where Butler Machinery is?
Yep.
Same thing. Butler Machinery is in city limits. Farm Power is in city limits. The road between them is not in city limits. They didn't annex it.
Mhm.
So we still have the road. Same thing. The land on both sides of it are annexed, and then it becomes the airport after that. So there's that one. There's Dakota Street, and I haven't even brought this up to the city yet, but they took over one of our bridges, and I don't think they know it. I don't know if they know it. But in front of the wastewater plant, I think it's 08, somewhere in there, they annexed the property that the wastewater plant's on. And I had totally assumed that they did their usual, come down the right-of-way, went over and did this, so it would be contiguous and not annex any of the right-of-way, but I don't think that happened. And there's a bridge right there.
Yep.
So that bridge will get inspected next year, and I'll probably take it off our list and say it's not a county bridge. I mean, technically, we can go down there for 400 feet and not blade the road, you know. So
It's a two-edged sword. It's kind of a hodgepodge, because if you've got sections of a piece of road that are different, but if you're going to start annexing both sides of it and take responsibility for it, there's also some responsibility
Right.
for that, especially when it comes to approving access and those kind of things that go with it, so.
So I don't know if you want to like roll this stuff into a thing, and I just want them to take over Dakota Street. I wouldn't mind keeping the one out at Butler a little longer, but eventually that's going to be a problem.
Is it always miles, or does it ever half
No,
mile?
it can be whatever.
Isn't Schumacher, Dave Schumacher doing a big
Then
development
you
there?
just
Yep.
South of Farm Power?
Yep.
On the east side
Like
of
we
the
do
road.
with-
And that's why that got annexed,
you know,
Yeah.
because of that
border
development.
You develop an agreement.
Did he
with the
get a
state,
tip?
yes, you do
I
that.
wonder?
I don't know.
Take a look at those pieces.
Yeah.
We get along well with the city, and I don't want to jeopardize
No.
that, but we do also have the ability to sign it, say, you know, if the city annexed this, you might get it approved, just a thought.
Right. So, but anyway,
Thank you.
and I understand that isn't the best location to, you know,
Impressive.
then, unless we're gonna mill it up, that's fine. I'm all for that, because it would be safe, but as opposed to the sharp holes, so I kinda gotta fill those. But I'll do a crappy job of it, okay?
Okay. On your promise.
So,
Cut that part out.
yeah, you guys edit the film, don't you?
Sounds good.
All right, that's all I got.
Thank you.
Okay, you bet. Oh, anybody go, you're gonna go on Thursday?
I'm going
Anybody else
Thursday.
going?
I plan on it.
What? Oh, I can't.
Do you drive them?
I can, we got, yeah?
It's Thursday.
Time you want to leave?
We weren't invited.
The Lake Region
District
Conference.
Region
Oh,
Conference.
no, I
Meeting?
got
Where's that?
conflicts.
Millbank.
Millbank.
I didn't go to the short course, so I thought I'd go over and talk to
Is
you.
that 11:30?
I got a weed and pest commission
noon.
meeting in Pierce.
12, isn't
Well,
it?
I sent two
12.
emails on it.
Yeah.
Is that
Check
noon?
it out.
Yes.
So what, 10:30?
12
That's
was
early
noon.
enough, or?
It's just a tick over
I
an
don't
hour.
know how
and a
many
half to get
bridges
there.
you're looking at
Yeah.
on the way.
10:15. That'll give.
Okay.
I should run into a blade trying to get onto the interstate.
Yeah.
10, 15 minutes.
Millbank. 10:15 at the highway department then?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Check the weather, you never know what summer's gonna be like.
Yeah.
Summer's been pretty good the last year.
I used to work out of Millbank, and we'd go up there in the hills by Summit to do a survey, and it'd start snowing or something, and you couldn't see anything, and like, all right, back it up, and go back down to Millbank, 62 degrees, and the boss is like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, well, there's a blizzard. No, there's not a blizzard up there, you know.
There's stuff coming off the coteau, isn't it?
It's crazy. All right.
Thanks, Dirk.
Thank you,
Thank
Dirk.
you.
Let's move over to Jeanette, who wants to take care of some of those items.
Approve last week's minutes as well as the equalization meeting minutes.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Pfeiffer, second by Sutton, to approve general meeting minutes of April 13th and equalization minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Claims,
Move.
Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Weiss, to approve claims. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
HR report.
With the added internship,
Okay.
right? I'll move it.
Second.
Moved by Kipley, second by Piker, to approve the HR with the added intern for museum
At $12 an hour.
at $12 an hour. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, sounds good, thank you.
Emergency management quarterly grant.
Move. Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Weiss, to approve the emergency management quarterly grant. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Abatements.
Move. Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Weiss, to approve the abatements. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
First quarter interest.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Kipley, second by Weiss, to approve the first quarter interest. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
2021 assessment freeze for
Move.
elderly and disabled.
Second.
Moved by Piker, second by Weiss, to approve the 2021 assessment freeze for the elderly and disabled. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Plat.
Move. Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Weiss, to approve the plat. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
South Dakota Department of Transportation striping
Move.
agreement.
Second.
Moved by Piker, second by Kipley, to approve the striping agreement. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Surplus request.
Move. Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Weiss, to approve the surplus request from, who's that from, I guess?
Landfill.
Landfill.
It's also a request to sell it,
Take up our way.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Anything else, Jeanette?
That will be it.
Anything else from the commissioners? Do we have public comment? We have 3 of our legislators here.
We'll do a brief comment. We'll start with Drew because he's the youngest.
Okay. You got that blank look like, what did you do to me?
You can tell
You
them
want
what...
me to do something?
Yeah, you can say something, and then we'll let Al say something. That was a good one.
I actually wasn't planning on saying anything, but since I was asked to, good morning.
Morning, Drew.
Good morning.
Some of you probably would have saw, since I was asked to speak, I'll figure something out. You probably saw my bill, House Bill 1230, this past year. That was basically a Drew Dennard original thought that I'd come up with. How can we help the counties out, ideally without raising taxes, was my goal behind that. So I'd like to do something, or try to do something in the future. So obviously we've got plenty of time before January. If all of you could take a look at that and see if there's any changes you'd like made. That bill, it passed out of Taxation Committee unanimously to go to appropriations, and it died by 1 vote in appropriations. The issue that they had, or the biggest issue, was the way I was going to distribute that money would have been the same way that cities do it now. So if something is collected within Aberdeen, it stays in Aberdeen. So if it would have been purchased or received within Brown County would get those dollars. The issue that we ran into was primarily in Sioux Falls. If I ordered Domino's pizza from Minnehaha Domino's but delivered it into Lincoln, that would have been a burden on the business owner. So we kind of ran into a buzzsaw there for just reporting, and I can see why that would be difficult looking at that. Looking at possibly changing the way those dollars would be distributed, as far as if you just break it down by percentage or population of the county and just send it out on a total percentage. Obviously the way that it's now, if you just distribute those dollars back to where it was collected, it's going to benefit the largest counties, whether it's Minnehaha, Lincoln, Pennington, to a point Brown, but we're probably more revenue neutral, I suppose. But looking at other ways, so one idea again would be to just distribute that based on population. There could be other ways, square mileage, there's a few different ways we can do that. And then also, I don't know if I tried to go for a high enough dollar figure. Maybe we want to go higher. So consider that. I'd like to bring something back again next year. Because when we walked in here, Carl said, "What are we doing for the counties?" And I said, not enough. Not much. Not 30 years. Yeah, not enough. So
Oh, before you pick on us too bad, remember that there are 2 legislators
Yeah.
sitting here in this
Right.
room. So anything that they get done formally wasn't our fault.
Drew,
Look at
a
those
question for
five.
your distribution.
Yeah.
Wouldn't there be a way to go back and figure percentages of what goes into a particular county or whatever, or city? Wouldn't there be a way to break those numbers down by what percentage of sales tax have gone into those somehow? It just seems to me like there might be a way to figure percentages maybe too somehow.
Maybe. I know a couple of years ago there was another legislator who had brought a bill. I think that was more specifically for highways. And what he did was he made a formula and he took into account 3 things. It was the population of the county, the square mileage, and the total miles of county road, which was a good formula. But obviously what I'm trying to do isn't necessarily just for highways, although that is a potential purpose. We talked a little bit about the regional jail concept. This is something I want these dollars to at least have the potential for something like that if
How about,
the commission wanted
how about
to.
the certified assessed values of all that the Department of Revenue has, that are, when the values are certified, to take those numbers off of each county, because the cities, municipalities, everybody's involved in that, and use that as a form, the basis of a formula to distribute those dollars.
Yeah, that's something to consider.
Because the state certifies the values in every county.
I'd like to see what those values are, just with all 66 counties, see where we're sitting at.
Well, I think you did a really nice job for the first time around testing the water to see what kind of tweaks and shortcomings and gathering some support for it. And
I kind of dreamed it up over the summer, and I'm like, I got to at least get this drafted. So I called up the guy who is my staff member on the tax committee, and I said, draft this. And it took quite a while for him to do it, and then we did some fine-tuning, and then he had it drafted, and it was getting towards the end, and I had to introduce it, and there were still a couple things that weren't what I wanted, so we fixed a couple other things, and we moved forward with it. But I wanted it drafted, and I wasn't even gonna pursue it unless I could get the counties on board, and I got a hold of Eric Erickson and Bob Wilcox, and they're like, no, I don't think we're gonna do anything. And I said, all right, well then I'll probably just have it tabled, because if you guys aren't going to push it, there's no chance. And then they come back the day before, all right, we're going to testify for it. And I said, okay, I'll pitch it then, we'll see what happens. So then it passes out of tax committee unanimously to go to appropriations, which I was surprised by.
Yeah, I was absolutely amazed what you got.
quite a bit of support.
And I would have got it out of appropriations, but there was that one concern about the collection. And then one or two people changed their votes, because there was one person gone to go testify on another bill, and I think it was a tie. Then that person came back and voted for it, but I think one other person switched their vote. So we're close to at least getting it to the floor. We got a little ways to go. It certainly wasn't ready for prime time.
It was a good first round, and it kind of reminds me, and I haven't looked at the numbers in the last several years, but I remember when we were having conversations and actually did get the license plate fees increased. The Minnehaha County's, the big elephant in the room, and they're so much different than everybody else, because the county doesn't have a lot of miles in Minnehaha County, even though there's a lot of traffic, because it's a lot of cities and a lot of state traffic and so forth.
Right.
And so what they collect for license fees more than covers, I believe, their highway budget, which is the only county in the state. So they actually have a surplus trying to spend that money, and everybody else is scrambling trying to get just a small percentage of their highway budget.
Well, and then the other thing that it did too, again, one of the key parts that I like was it didn't raise taxes, but it accumulated over 5 years. It increased the amount of money the state would be giving to counties, not to put a hole in the state's budget, but to essentially just take future growth that we're likely to see and take a very small portion of that growth over 5 years. So it wouldn't hurt the state, it would just, again, slow the growth that they would have to increase the state government over 5 years.
And that's one of the things about the tax base, which that recognizes, because counties being so reliant on property taxes, you don't have to, you don't have the opportunity for additional revenue where you do with the expansion of the economy with the sales tax. The more activity there is, the more you collect, but you don't increase the rate. Whereas with property tax, It's based on its increase in value, and that's a whole different creature.
And I could be wrong, but as many dollars that have been printed in the last year, I think we're going to see inflation ramp up a little bit. I mean, it's been obviously very slow the last several years, but I think it's going to at least go up to a more moderate level. So,
well, investment income's going to go up, so that all floats together.
Another thing you could introduce is a bill that would take sales tax in municipalities and pay down on the TIF bonds.
Oh, yeah.
Rather than the county's property tax dollars.
We talked about reducing property tax, and everybody looked at us with a blank stare, like, what? So we're trying to do a lot of the right things, and Drew's a great legislator for this, but like the regional jail center that they talked about, a person needs to know where it's going to go, and needs to have a little bit more support. We actually learned about that, or we really got pushed on it about 2 weeks before the end of session. 2 weeks before the end of session, you don't get to do anything, just so you know, and that's if you're really working hard. And so we need to have a better plan sooner if we're going to make something come out of that. And then we did get some bridge money from the feds, $3.3 million. Last year it was $4,011,315. This year it's going to be $3.3 million. Caleb Fink works on that. He's really good. Drew and I want to visit about water with like maybe two of you, because water's something to visit about. And then, or else Al will visit with you about it. And then we're going to have some money coming up. We're going to have a special session, and a couple of the things that might be in that session are marijuana. And we decided that we'll just sit around, smoke some, and we'll probably have a better idea what we want to do with it. But then,
strike that from the record.
but marijuana is going to be another issue that we got to talk about more, because there's so many loose ends. How many dispensaries? Where are the dispensaries? Who's going to control them? Is it a county function? Is it a city structure? Is it a state structure? There are so many loose ends right now on marijuana. And marijuana is Al's favorite subject, so I'm going to flip it over to Al. Go ahead, Al.
Al doesn't have much to say about marijuana. I was a little disappointed. Carl and Drew had told me that the dress code was suit and tie for this meeting. So I realized that they had taken advantage of my creativity.
I got a scissor. We can take care of it.
One thing Carl mentioned was water. And we've been talking to the city over the last 6 months and to private individuals, and think that there's an opportunity coming down the pike that we should at least be talking about, is to try to get more water into Aberdeen for economic development. And that seems to be a stumbling block, is to bring in some big industry. And so you guys will hopefully hear more about that when as it progresses. So just to know that that the three of us are very supportive of if we can do something to, excuse me, I got this ringing, there we go. If we can bring water in, there's some big users that have pretty well maxed out the system, and Webb's been maxed out for a long time. And if we're going to grow Aberdeen, Brown County, which obviously is good for the tax base, if we can bring in more industry. And so just fully supportive of that idea. So other than that, we're living in interesting times, a lot of uncertainty just coming out of COVID, a lot of uncertainty with the new administration as to spending, and possibility of inflation coming down the pike. And so not a lot of solid things. And normally, as the former legislators know, that this time of year having plans doesn't do you much good, because things change between now and the session. But the time really to put your plans together is in the fall. And as you guys well know, the best way to do it is show up with a unified voice. If you show up with a not unified voice, it usually dies pretty quickly. So the new governor's taken a pretty firm stance against new taxes, which has kind of put everything on hold. But I wonder if that's going to loosen up as we go forward, as the needs continue. So we're available. Carl likes to tell the story, and it's true that the three of us live together. If you want to call us, you can talk to about 9 o'clock each evening. You call one.
We house together in here.
Only in here.
We do not live together, but we like each other.
Clarification.
So, if you want to ever talk to any of us, call us around 9, 10 o'clock at night. We can get done with all the social events, and a good time to have one conversation instead of 3. So.
I was going to say too, I'm going to try to make it here a little more often in the next few weeks or months, so hopefully we can maybe work on this project together, or
past calving season, it makes it easier.
Well, we've only got about 35 or 40 left, so we're doing pretty good. But whether it's here or wherever, I'd like to talk to all of you a little bit more about this and see if we can get maybe a more finalized product ready to go to introduce hopefully right away when session starts, and have maybe a few other counties behind it, and some of the other. I've already got another call from a lobbyist who wasn't associated with this bill at all, who was intrigued by it, and then he was also intrigued by the whole regional jail concept. And he's not from this area; he's from Lincoln County, I believe. So we'll hopefully gain a little more traction on this and see what happens.
Al will be on his 20th year this year, and we've had years before when we've had excess funds, or what do we call our funds? The 300 surplus.
Rainy day funds.
One-time money. One-time money. We ended up with $399 billion that we did this year, and we used to do fist fights in the past over 19 million. So this year it was really different, but we did some great things, and though they can fill in the gaps, but $50 million for needs-based scholarship, $50 million for a future trust fund for emergencies, an extra 2% for our reserve fund. Our reserve fund's $170 million, so that adds another $35 million. So that's $85 million. 75 million to 100 million for broadband, so that we can take care of underserved and underserved and unserved areas of the state. For education, teleeducation, telemedicine, telemarijuana, whatever. Well, it's going to be something that we're going to talk about at some point. What's it? Oh, there's a...
It says that's the phone number for that.
Yeah. But, and then we had other things that we did a lot of money for. $20 million for a railroad to go from Pier out to Rapid City. What did we do? $12 million for the barn in Huron. The decks. So the...
Money for the Elm Dam?
Yeah, and for the Elm Dam, $19 million is a really nice thing. That's something that was really important. And it's up to 19 million, and I think they're planning on spending 7 or 7.5.
Well, the bids are going to be in like about a month, is what Commissioner Bruner just told me.
And I think there's some other dams too that 19 million.
Yeah.
It isn't all intended.
The majority was for Elm.
Yeah.
And they said there's some small ones. There's one kind of down by Chamberlain that they need to look at.
But that was the big anchor that got things moving.
It was.
On it.
Yeah.
It's nice that something's being done for Aberdeen. And this morning, the governor was here with the mayor's prayer breakfast, and having 550 people fill the chairs there, that doesn't hurt us when we're talking to the governor about what we need up in Brown County, when she sees that she has great support. So just thought I'd let you know. We just want to stop by and say hi, and I don't think there was a time that you've had 3 legislators come at the same time, much less one legislator come monthly. So we're trying to not just all of a sudden impress you or anything like that, but we want to be accessible to you. We want to be available to you, and we want to help. And the first time I came up here, Dennis about beat me up, but I like him anyway.
I probably won't stop.
Well, I wondered if some of these concepts, Dwayne and I both sit on the statewide commissioner board, and our convention is the middle of September, and I know fall is the time things start rolling big time, but it'd be nice to meet maybe a couple times this summer and develop a package with Drew's bill of how we want it, because otherwise, once we get to convention, if we don't educate people there, we start harvesting all these other things in the fall, and we just kind of lose them before session. But if we could get a package or a couple of these concepts and really rally the troops and say, hey, this is what we're going after, don't you feel, Dwayne, like if we wait till after convention, you kind of lose people?
Too late, yeah.
Well, it needs to come off as a resolution, and probably one of the top resolutions that the commissioners executive board and all the association is supporting.
If we could get this thing ready to roll by September, which should be completely doable, I mean, we've got a lot of time, so just talk it over and figure out what we think is the best product to move forward with, and then
have somebody actually present it at the
One of
convention.
the sessions, like the upcoming,
One of the
or one of the
sessions
main.
where you would actually, have you come in, or, people that are associated with that concept, and then present it to the whole.
seems like a good idea, because it's going to take a strong effort to even have a chance. I mean, it's not going to be easy.
We want to see a funding source for you. That's what we want to see. I've voted for it twice now.
Oh, it's high time.
It's, if it's 0.25%, whatever it is, we need to do something. The bridge improvement grant that we were visited with about 3 years ago, never let Lazarus lay in the grave. Pull Lazarus out and get him standing. That is a good idea. And before we were asking for 25% of the excess above 170 million. And if that was 8 million, we'd get 2 million. Now let's go for the excess over the 12%. Maybe they'll sit there and say, well, you're going to have an extra 35 million. All we're looking for is that small percentage above that if you hit it. I think you guys can do that stuff. But
the problem is there's a segment out there, people out there that believe that Senate Bill 1 fixed all the bridge funding problems, and it didn't.
Mm-mm.
And the minute that concept that you're talking about was presented, then that group came forward as, what do you want this for? You've already got a funding mechanism, but it didn't fix it.
Well, we did an education program, and that was supposedly fixed all the education. And guess what? Fix it for a year.
Yeah, and it's important to our owners to be on the same page.
Well, somehow, one of the main things, I think, is that we have to keep the executive director of the Association of County Commissioners, we have to keep them on board on this whole entire bill and this whole concept of what Drew is presenting, because I'm completely convinced that he runs down to the governor's office, and if you can get the governor's office to support what you're talking about, we got a really good chance. And that's what happens on a lot of the county bills. He runs down to the governor's office, and if the governor doesn't support it, we don't show up.
This is a window. He is the chairman of the taxation committee. We won't have that window every day. There are only so many times where you have chairman of committees that are important, and I would say that would be one of the most important committees to our county.
Right, I think if we just work on this a little bit more, I can get it out of tax, again, easily, and then out of appropriations committee pretty easily if we just address those concerns, and then after that, hard to say. But you're right about the governor. I mean, if we want it signed into law at some point, we'll want to loop her office in and try to get blue badges in support, or at least neutral.
Absolutely.
And that's where our influence on our own board, and to be able to, both our membership as well as our representation, to make sure that they're on board as well.
Well, her new chief of staff is it Aaron Sheeby? And he was Governor's Office of Economic Development, so he is a person that's in favor of economic development. So if we are selling the governor's office on something and we tell them this is an economic engine factor for you, it will help you because of X, Y, and Z, and you can look good. We can have it called the GNOME plan, because that's important to her, I think.
Well, that's somebody who has an appreciation for how important infrastructure is in order to make those things happen. Roads, railroads, water, electricity, labor pool.
Well, we didn't come to take your whole day away.
Well, the last two things I was going to touch base since you're here, I've been told these are legislative, although they seem like they're more administrative. One thing we've been working on as a statewide association is getting hotel rates for the county employees at the same rate as the state employees. To me, that seems like it would be so simple. But yet we're running into all these blocks, and so we're being told by Secretary of State's office that is a legislative thing, that we have to go change law to get that. So something to kind of tuck in there that would also help counties, for us to be able to, have that list of hotels that we can go to. Yeah. I mean, it's simple, but it seems like everything has a stepping.
I'm surprised that isn't already done.
Me too, yeah. And then the other one that, you know, it's hard to recruit good people to want to be legislators, same with county commissioners, because obviously everybody here knows the pay isn't the greatest. You do it because you want to make a difference, but one thing we had talked about that might help, no taxpayer money involved, but can commissioners contribute to their own retirement through South Dakota retirement system? I think that would be huge, just for them to be able to set up their own account and put it in, no match, no nothing, just their own money going into it. I think that would be a huge benefit for county commission candidates too. So just a couple things that we'd like to see, and anything you can help us to get those accomplished would be great.
On the retirement, the legislators I've been there for 19 years, and for 17 of those years they told us it couldn't be done for the state legislators. And then 2 or 3 years ago they announced that it could be done, exactly what you're saying, which is no matching funds. I would think that the process that we've done should be duplicatable in both the hotel and the retirement there.
So what would be really cool is if we get together, and those are little things, and
Yeah.
we couple them with a couple of these big things we're talking, and maybe we develop a whole, when is it the county's time? And maybe this is our session to kind of push them all. Are they going to hit everything down on us, or maybe we can slip one or two of a package through?
That makes sense.
Appreciate your guys' help on that.
You have an advantage right now too in being Brown County. The way we're set up is we have the three of us here, and we do communicate, and we have 2 of the 3 over in District 1 are in the same type team. The ones over in District 23 come up to here, and one of the ones in District 23 is Speaker of the House. He is one of the most influential, powerful people over there, because he decides that Drew is going to be the chairman of a committee.
Right.
Yeah, right. And then we also have down south of us, we have Lana, who's in charge of the education committee, and Brock, who has been the chairman or the leader of the Senate, and we also have Caleb, who's an enthusiastic young guy. So we have a good nucleus of people that are willing to work with you. And the jail thing too, whoever's talked about that earlier, we need to have a good proposal by that commission meeting so that we can move forward with something like that. Because we need to be talking about that early on, getting that to our appropriations early on. And we have to convince them that this is not a Brown County issue. This is an issue that affects 15 counties. How many people, in 15 counties, 38,000 here, this is 250, this 250,000 people that are affected.
Region directly, state
Yeah.
indirectly.
Well, and the fact is, if you go back in history, Senate Bill 70 really put it to the counties too, because we ended up housing a lot more individuals that were going to Sioux Falls, and the counties got saddled with some of that too.
And they always like to give you things to do and pay you nothing for it. That's something that I've realized, and we don't want to have that.
Unfunded mandates.
Yeah.
Well, we do appreciate what you do. We appreciate you taking the time, coming before the commission, hearing our frustrations at times, but
A lot of them.
well, it's nice to know that we have 3 active people trying to get something done. That's a big plus.
Just a piece of information. This is nothing to do with anything we talked about. Drew Dennert and Carl Perry had a 100% voting record this last year. That means that we were there on every single vote all year long. So, if you like what happened, we were there on every single vote. Now, if you don't like what happened, we couldn't help it. We tried hard.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate that today.
The only other thing I guess I'll add is that I understand that as of today, the burn ban expires. That's when we originally had set. So just for publication, we need to bring that forward. I don't know,
Immediately?
will we notify paper or news media, things for people? I know there are some people.
Let them know.
Okay.
Do we have to, we don't have to do a motion or anything on that?
No, it was already
Is it
set.
effective right now?
Yep. Yeah, that's all I had. Anything else coming before the commission?
I would make a motion to go into executive session for personnel.
Second.
Moved by Kipley, second by Sutton, to go into executive personnel. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are in exec. We are out of exec.
No, you're good.
No action as a result. was for personnel.
Okay.
I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Kip to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.